remember Lucas when he was maybe 7 or 8 years old, and he'd skip out of Sunday school and go to the office and play on the computer when everybody else was supposed to be in church or someplace else. So occasionally I would slip out because I forgot something in my office, and there he was. But I just want to try to have you picture the look in his face as I walked by the office door and glared at him. It's been a long and wonderful relationship. Bob Peterson, an usher here, member of the board of directors. He and Jan have been members of the church forever. He's in St. Luke's Hospital, doing quite well, but I understand that he's watching us on video today. So Bob, how are you? We bless you, we love you, and we see a quick recovery. He was also the water boy, if you can imagine this. When he was 8 or 9 years old, when they were building this building, he'd walk around with a water bucket and feed or give water to the workers. So he's got a long history with this church. Before I go into my talk, I want to address one thing, and that is the new Nordstrom's project that is going to begin very quickly, and that is going to be to the south of us. It is going to cause a lot of difficulties during that building period, but it is what it is. It's going to be about 3 years. Our access from the south parking lot is going to be closed off very, very soon, so we won't have any parking behind us. And the Jefferson Street will also be closed down for a certain period of time while they rerun utility lines or something like that. We have been working on this for about the last 7 months, and it has been pretty fierce negotiations at that time. The plaza has been wonderful in regards to working with us, and they gave up many of the concessions that we asked for, even though they had to change their plans. But when it's all finished, we'll still have the walkway, we'll have back parking, but it'll be further to the west, and there will be a walk that'll come down. I wish I could tell you more, but I can't until the final agreement is signed, which should happen this week. Once that takes place, we will have a town hall meeting or something and be able to show you exactly what's going to take place, what you can expect when you come down here, and where the easiest place to park is. And also for those of you who are handicapped or challenged by walking, we'll have valet parking. So you can just pull right up in front, and we'll be very careful who we get to drive your car to wherever it goes. Somebody suggested the YOU, which is the Youth of Unity. Let's not go there yet. Anyway, I've got good news. My cousin Ozzy got a job. Lordy, bless his soul. Nobody ever thought it would happen, but he got this position at a senior citizen residence, and he drives one of these huge vans, and he takes the senior citizens around to different places that they need to go. Well, his first assignment was taking 12 senior citizens in the van to Madison, South Dakota, which is about 30 minutes from where he is, for the county fair. Well, on the way, he got pulled over by a police officer. And the police officer came up to him, and Oz immediately launched into his defense. He says, "I wasn't speeding, I know for sure, because I always follow the speed limit exactly, never less and never more." And the police officer said, "I didn't stop you because you were speeding, I stopped you because you're going too slow. You were going 22 miles an hour. And Ozzy said, "Yes, I know, because that's what the speed limit said, and I always go the speed limit. I just passed a sign that said Highway 22, and so I'm going 22 miles an hour." Well, the police officer looked in the back of the van, and the people seemed to be, they're all ghost white, they seem to be shaken up, very disheveled, and he says, "What's going on here? These people look like they're in panic or something." And he says, "Oh, they'll be okay in a minute or two. We just got off Highway 110. Okay. The talk today is going to be on time. Time. Time is a relentless dictator. It governs our lives. It doesn't pause, it doesn't rewind, it doesn't fast forward. It just is it marching methodically forward. And everybody on this planet is sharing the same time. We're doing different things, but right now in this moment, whether somebody's sleeping in China or somebody's out on a fishing boat in the Pacific or whatever, we're all sharing this same moment. It's not more for somebody else or less for somebody else. We're all sharing this moment in time, and time marches forward moment by moment. Time is such a factor in our lives that the Oxford Dictionary people came up with the 10 most commonly used words, and time was number one. We talk about time more than any other thing in our existence. And it is everything to our existence because it just dictates how we live our lives. We also use time in more variations than any other word. You know, some people are running out of time. Some people have too much time on their hands. Some people, an example of time, some people are having tough times. Some people are letting the good times roll. Some people don't know what time it is. Some people always seem to know what time it is. But time is just a factor in our lives. Now, this is the point I bring up. Time is such a huge part of our lives, but nobody really knows what time is. It's still a mystery to us. Aristotle, 2,500 years ago, said time is the biggest unknown of all the unknowns. And 2,500 years later, that's still true. It's a mystery to us. We don't know what time is. Some people say time began with the Big Bang 14 billion years ago. And if that's the case, what was just before that? Something. Or if time ends at some point in time, what's going to take place right after that? Time is an enigma. Yet, we live in the midst of it, and it has such an impact on each and every one of us. Now, you might ask, well, that is fine, but what does that have to do with me? And I'm going to tell you, this is for you and you individually. There's a time when you're brought into this world. Many of you heard me say that before. There's going to be a time when you leave this world, when your life's going to be complete. In between the beginning and the end, there's a line, a timeline, that we call our lifetime. Now, as we grow out of childhood, we get to spend our lifetime any way we choose. You might be going through a very, very difficult time, but you can still choose how you're going to spend your time in that situation. You might be on death row waiting execution. You still get to decide how you're going to spend your time. Your time is yours and yours alone. Time is very much like money. We have money and we spend money. We have time and we spend time. Now, say, for instance, that things had gotten a little bit rough for you, and you're down to $24 with no food or drink in the house. So you go to the grocery store. You got $24 to spend. Now, you're not going to spend that $24 on spoiled food, or you're not going to take that $24 to the casinos and gamble it away. You're going to spend your time on something that has benefit and has value to you. That's good financial management. Spend your money on something that has a benefit or a value that comes back to you. And time is exactly the same thing. We can spend our time wisely or we can fritter it away. Now here comes the problem. Oftentimes we spend our time outside the current moment, which is the only moment we have right now, and we commiserate about things that have happened in the past. We go over and over and over a certain situation that really hurt us. Almost like when you have a toothache and your tongue keeps running over the tooth just to make sure it still hurts. That's what we do when we visit the past. And then we have the future where we worry and we fear and we've got doubts and we've got all sorts of anxiety about what might happen. But all the time we are losing that precious time in the moment where we can experience life. The future is but a dream. The past is gone forever. So learning how to spend our time wisely, more and more in the present moment, experiencing life, new life for the first time, is the stewardship of our time. It's the best possible way we can use it. Now here's a little interesting twist on time. It can be experienced in different ways by different people. Sometimes we experience time and it seems to be very slow. Like a giant sea turtle trudging down a long, hot, sandy beach. Time just drags on and on. Like when you're listening to a preacher who's dry as dust. a dry as dust teacher, and it just seems like he's going on forever. And when I talk, I don't mind people looking at their watch to see what time it is. But when they take it off and start shaking it because they think it's stopped, that's a sign, time to cut it short, dude. Also, time can move very quickly when you're having a good time. If you're at a sporting event or a concert, or you're enjoying somebody's company that you really cherish, it seems like time just flies by. Like a gazelle running across an open field. There it goes. Now, they discovered the reason time sometimes seems to go slow and sometimes it seems to go fast is the emotion that we have at the time that we're experiencing it. If you're experiencing sadness, you're experiencing hurt or pain or suffering of any kind, that seems to slow time down in the perceptive part of it, and it seems like time just drags on. We're on top of that sea turtle, slowly riding it through. When we're having a good time and we're happy and we're sharing our joy with other people, things are good, time flies. I've been on airplanes with a mother and a baby next to me that's crying and screaming, and that flight was 7 days long. I've also been with somebody who was a very interesting conversationalist, and we engaged in this conversation. Next thing I knew, we arrived where we were going. So the point of this whole thing is, if we want to maximize the value of our time, is to stay in the present moment and do so with a disposition that is somewhat positive, remembering all the time that we get to choose how we spend our time. No matter what. That choice is always up to us. Several years ago, I did a wedding here at the church, and got over about 7 o'clock, so I went home. My wife was gone. Nothing in the house to eat, so I ordered a pizza. The lady on the phone said it should come around 7:30 to 7:45, be delivered. I said, that's great. Well, you know, everybody can identify with this. When you're hungry and you know food is coming, time slows down. It seemed like forever. So 7:30 came, no pizza. 7:45 came, no pizza. I called them back, and I said, the pizza's not here yet. Can you help me out a bit? She said, we had some unexpected thing happen. I'm sorry, but the pizza is on its way. Great, thank you. 8 o'clock, no pizza. 8:15, no pizza. 8:30, no pizza. I was fuming. So I called back and said, where's my food? And she said, I assume this is Mr. Tufty. And I said, yes, it is. She said, we just talked to the driver and he's on his way. Okay. It arrives at 9 o'clock. Knock on the door. Swing open the door, and here in front of me is some little hippie kid. His eyes are like little slits. He's got kind of this quirky smile on his face. Now, I've been around. I know stoned when I see stoned. And my immediate assumption is, this kid got the munchies on the way over here and ate my pizza. And he had to go back and get another one. So I launch into him. I said, this is the worst delivery service I've ever had. I've had to wait for 2 hours. You've ruined my entire night. I don't know what's going on here, but this is not acceptable. And this little hippie kid looks at me, and he smiles. And he says, man, what difference will it make in 7 days? What difference will it make in 7 days, I said to him. What difference will it make? My mind went blank. I couldn't think of a single difference it would make in 7 days. You know, when they say, when the student's ready, the teacher will arrive, that's what happened in this case. And the teacher comes in many different identities. So I stood there thinking about what he had just told me. And I hugged the kid and gave him a $10 tip. Yeah. Probably the best lesson I've ever learned And to this day, when I'm feeling roughed up or when I'm feeling emotionally blue or whatever it might be, is what difference will this make in 7 days? And in most cases, it's none whatsoever. And that's an indication to put down whatever upset me and move forward. Important lesson. The second lesson for the day is to be very, very slow before taking offense or getting upset. And be very, very quick to forgive that which upset you. So in saying that, I say thank you, stone little hippie kid, wherever you are. You made a difference in my life and hopefully in a lot of other people's lives as well. Then we'll now move into meditation. Thank you very much for being with me on this little trip.